Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out in less than a week, and the hype is getting insane.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
I'm going to do a tier list on the Baldur's Gate 3 companions available to you, and if I believe that they are, someone worth taking along on your adventure or not. Now, these are obviously going to be my opinions, and I'm sure that a lot of you will have opinions different from mine. Totally fine. Put it in the comments and we can chat about it. Starting off, we have Astarion, and I know this is a character that can really kind of split the fan base, because there's a group of people that think he's snobby, he's annoying, he's evil, you don't want him anywhere near your party, and you'll just kill him right away. And then there's another part of the fan base, like myself, where we like that kind of snobbish attitude, we like the sarcasm, we think he's sexy, and we definitely want him there, maybe even to romance him. So I'm sure this will upset some people, but to me, Astarion is S tier. He kind of embodies the sarcastic humor that I really enjoy. That British dry humor. I like that. Okay, next up we have Gale. Now, Gale, I think, is generally liked. At least from what I've heard from people. Gale seems to be generally liked. He can be a bit annoying at times with his sarcasm, but as you already know from my pick with Astarion, I like sarcastic humor. So that's something that works for me. Gale is also considered just a generally good character, that he will approve of you making good choices. And I think a fair amount of the fan base plans on doing a good run, at least for their first time. So he's appealing in that way too, because you want companions that will, follow you through to the end, right? You don't really want to lose them along the way, either because they abandon you for making all these choices that they don't agree with, or maybe it even turns into a fight. Hopefully not. So Gale, to me, I wouldn't rank him quite as high as Astarion. I'm going to put him in the A tier. I think Gale is a really good companion. I think having a wizard in the party is really helpful too. And I like his sense of humor. Something I don't like about him though, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is that he needs to keep consuming these really great artifacts. And that really sucks. You don't want to keep giving up these really great items to him, but there's going to be trouble if you don't. So that's kind of a bit of a buzz killer, so I'm putting him in A instead of S because of that. All right, next up we have Halsin. Now, Halsin, we don't get to know him quite as much as the core origin characters because we don't get to spend as much time with him, but you still get a pretty decent idea of what his personality is like in Act 1 and Early Access. And it seems like he's a good guy, based on how he, takes care of the Druid Grove and everything. It seems like he would be a good character. So I think he is a good companion to have along. I really like Druid characters too. I think that's a really cool class. I think it's cool that he can shapeshift into a bear, as long as he doesn't do it at certain times. So I would consider him A tier as well, actually, because I think that his class is going to be really helpful as a companion. And I think if you're doing a good run, which is what I'm planning on doing, at least for the first time, maybe multiple times, he's a good choice. Next up, we have Jaheira. Now, full disclosure here, I have not played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, so I don't have a history with Jaheira or Minsc. And that will obviously play a part in where you think they belong on the companion list. But I don't have that background, so just something to keep in mind if you get upset about where I place them. I don't know much about Jaheira. I didn't meet her in Early Access. All I have to go by is the videos I've seen. She does seem cool. She seems strong. I like strong women. I think I'll just put her in B, and maybe she deserves higher than that, but I just don't know enough about her, so I feel like B is a good middle ground. Next up, we have Karlach. Now, Karlach, again, what we know from Early Access is kind of limited because you just really have that initial interaction with her when the party at the inn basically tells you, oh, there's a monster out there, go and kill it. And then you go to slay the monster and you find Karlach instead, and you have a conversation with her and kind of find out hey, she didn't do any of this stuff because she wanted to. She didn't really have a choice. That's really the only thing that you get to do, is find out, oh, she's not a monster. But we did get to see a decent amount more of her in the latest panel from Hell. And I really liked what we saw of her. She was really bubbly. She was excitable. She was friendly. She had a sweet side. She just seems like a really nice character. And she's also really badass at the same time. And I think that's kind of like the best mixture. If you can be badass, but also kind at the same time. Yeah, Karlach is pretty cool. I actually think I'm going to put Karlach in S tier. Even though I didn't get to see a lot of her in-game, what I saw of her from early access made me feel like, oh yeah, this is a really cool character. I definitely want her on my team. Okay, next up we have Lae'zel. And if you watched my other Baldur's Gate video on romance companions, you'll know that Lae'zel and I don't always see eye to eye. That's a good way to put it. We don't always see eye to eye, and it can get a little frustrating at times when you have these things you want to get done and she can't stop talking about the creche and we need to go to the creche. It's like, I get it, but I've got other stuff to do first. You're not the only companion in this party. So Lae'zel, there are certain things to admire, right? She's a very strong character. She's strong-willed and physically strong, and I like that. But she is very prejudiced, which I'm not a big fan of, and she, like I said, can get pretty annoying and pushy with what she feels the priorities should be. So I'm sorry, Lae'zel. I think I'm gonna have to put you in the C tier for that. Like, I probably will still bring her along because I do think that she is a good and interesting character. But in terms of like my feelings towards her, it's like, yeah, you kind of piss me off sometimes. Okay, next up we have Minsc. Again, I don't have any previous history with him, so what I know about him is limited. However, it's Minsc and Boo is freaking adorable. And anyone who like really cares about animals is like automatically going to rate higher in my book because I'm an animal lover too. So I think it's really great that, you know, he takes care of Boo, and I guess Boo helps take care of him too. So he's automatically going to get a boost in score from that. He also just seems like a funny character from what I can tell without having actually played the previous games, but like having a little bit of exposure to it and learning a bit about his character and background. He just seems like a cool guy, and he's got a cool hamster. So I am going to put him, I'm going to put him in A tier actually because of the hamster. That makes the difference. Okay, next we have Minthara. I don't know a lot about Minthara. I didn't actually get to interact with her too much during early access, maybe because I wasn't doing evil runs, because I don't generally play as an evil character. She's a badass like most of them are, you know, she knows what she wants and she's gonna get it, so that's admirable. But as an evil character, as someone who, you know, is desiring the pain and suffering of others, that's definitely gonna bring her down in my tier because, again, I don't really like doing evil runs. That's just not my play style. So Minthara for me, I'm gonna put her in the C tier. I don't think she deserves a D, but she's still cool in her own way, right? It's just that I don't really like that kind of style. Okay, next up we have Shadowheart. And again, if you saw my last video, you'll know I'm not really a big Shadowheart fan. I kind of think she's a jerk. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on her, and maybe she's even a little bit better now than she was originally in early access, to be fair. But she just really rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't like how uber secretive she is, hiding stuff about the artifact. She's just kind of standoffish, and she has some prejudices too, which she shows very early on against Lae'zel. So Shadowheart is also gonna get a C. She's definitely got some things that are cool about her, and I could see how she would be interesting to other people, so I don't want to give her a D, and I'm not really a big Shadowheart fan. Okay, and finally we have Wyll. Wherever I put him right now probably doesn't matter that much because he's gone through such an overhaul between his early access version and the full version that's gonna come out. Like, they replaced him with a new voice actor and like redid the lines and everything. So like, I don't really know how I'm gonna feel about Wyll when the full release of the game comes out. So just bear that in mind. Based on early access Wyll and my interactions with him, I feel kind of so-so on him. He's supposed to be a good character, and I like that. He wants to help the tieflings, especially the children. I like that. That's good. He's a little bit pompous about the whole Blade of the Frontiers thing, which I don't like as much. It's like, yeah, I get it. No need for humble bragging. He's also just not as interesting. Like, I don't know. It feels like he should be, right? Like, he has this whole mystery going on with him too, with the eye, with the patron and everything. But I don't know, though. I guess maybe the way it was delivered, or maybe there's not enough attention on it, that it just didn't come out as interesting as I think it should have. He's just okay in my opinion. I definitely don't mind having him around. I'm happy to take him along with the party. In all honesty, I would just take all of them with me if I could, but I think some of them would just be way too conflicted for that. So for Wyll, I think I'm gonna put him in B tier because, you know, he's all right. He's a good guy, and maybe with the full release he'll be even better, and that would be great. I'd like all the characters to be really interesting and for you to want to bring them all along because they're just that good. All right, so there you have it. That is my list of the Baldur's Gate 3 companions and how good or bad I think they are. I didn't put anyone in D because, I don't know, I don't feel like anyone belongs in D. I feel like everyone has something going for them, even if they're annoying, even if they're evil. So no D tier. Everybody deserves at least a C. If you want to make your own tier list of the characters, well, then you can certainly use this template because now it is on Tier Maker. And I will put a link to it so you can have fun with it too. Thanks for watching.